Imagine being the biggest name in women's basketball, but constantly facing criticism for simply being yourself. Caitlin Clark, the rookie sensation, has taken the WNBA by storm, yet she finds herself at the center of a firestorm that has nothing to do with her game. From trash talk debates to officiating inconsistencies and media bias, Clark is exposing cracks in the system that no one dared to talk about until now. Stay tuned, because what she's revealed might just change the way we see women's basketball forever. Caitlin Clark didn't just appear out of nowhere. Her journey to becoming the face of women's basketball was marked by years of dominance at every level. From high school phenom to college superstar, Clark's style, marked by deep three-pointers, no-look passes and fiery competitiveness, made her a fan favorite. But it wasn't just her skills that caught attention, it was her unapologetic confidence. She taunted opponents, celebrated big plays, and brought a swagger to women's basketball that felt more like the NBA. Yet, while male players are often celebrated for this behavior, Clark found herself walking a tightrope. When Caitlin Clark waved off a defender in the NCAA tournament or chirped back at trash talkers, the internet exploded. Fans loved it, but critics didn't hold back. She was called cocky, unsportsmanlike, and even disrespectful. Yet, isn't this the same attitude celebrated in stars like Stephen Curry or Damian Lillard? Clark herself has pointed out the hypocrisy. In interviews, she's said, "Why is it okay for men to show passion and competitiveness, but when women do it, it's seen as a problem?" But this wasn't just about fan perceptions. The double standards became glaringly obvious when Angel Reese's infamous "you can't see me" gesture during the NCAA championship sparked heated debates. While Reese was vilified by some, Clark defended her, saying, "Trash talk is part of the game." Entering the WNBA, Clark quickly realized the double standards weren't limited to public opinion. They extended to the court. Referees seemed quicker to call technical fouls for her emotional reactions, while male players in the NBA get away with much worse. Clark has also faced rough physical play in her rookie season. Opponents have openly admitted to targeting her, trying to send a message that she isn't untouchable. Yet, when she pushes back, she risks being labelled as the instigator. One viral moment this season perfectly captured the issue. During a game against the Liberty, Clark was visibly frustrated after a hard foul wasn't called. As she voiced her displeasure to the officials, she was hit with a technical foul. The WNBA's inconsistency in handling such situations has only fueled her criticism of the league. Off the court, the double standards continue. Caitlin Clark is undoubtedly one of the WNBA's biggest marketing assets, yet the league has struggled to balance promoting her while giving equal attention to other stars like Angel Reese, Aaliyah Boston, and Sabrina Ionescu. The media's focus on Clark's rivalries, especially with Angel Reese, has also drawn criticism. Some argue that framing their interactions as feuds perpetuates harmful stereotypes about women in sports. Clark has addressed this directly, saying, "I think it's great for the game to have rivalries, but let's not pit women against each other unnecessarily." Caitlin Clark isn't just exposing double standards, she's calling for change. She's advocated for better marketing strategies that highlight the depth of talent in the league, not just individual players. She's also spoken about the need for more consistent officiating and greater acceptance of emotional expression in women's sports. And it's not just talk. Clark's actions speak just as loudly. She continues to play with fire and passion, refusing to tone down her personality to fit outdated expectations. She's using her platform to push boundaries, even if it means facing criticism along the way. Caitlin Clark isn't just redefining what it means to be a star in the WNBA. She's forcing the league, its fans, and even her critics to confront uncomfortable truths. Her journey has shown that double standards are still very much alive in women's basketball, but her resilience is a reminder that change is possible. The question now is, will the WNBA rise to the challenge and embrace the evolution that players like Clark represent, or will it continue to hold onto outdated norms? One thing's for sure, this story is far from over, because Caitlin Clark isn't just playing the game, she's changing it. And what happens next? Well, let's just say the league might not be ready for what's coming. It's the moment that shook the basketball world. Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's rising star, did what no one thought was possible. She broke one of Steph Curry's most iconic records. But this wasn't just another game, it was a career-defining moment that cemented her as one of basketball's all-time greats. How did Clark accomplish such an incredible feat, and what does it mean for her legacy and the future of the sport? Let's dive into the unforgettable night Caitlin Clark shattered history. To understand the gravity of this achievement, we have to start with Steph Curry. Known as the greatest shooter in NBA history, Curry revolutionized basketball with his ability to hit shots from anywhere on the court. His record for most three-pointers in a single game, set at 13 in 2016, was seen as untouchable, a benchmark of perfection. Fast forward to 2024, and Caitlin Clark was already making headlines as a rookie in the WNBA. She was rewriting the record books with her deep shooting range and fearless playmaking. But what happened on that fateful night? No one saw it coming, not even Clark herself. It was a regular season matchup between Clark's Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty. The stakes weren't unusually high, just another game on the schedule, but from the moment the ball tipped off, it was clear that something special was happening. Clark came out on fire, draining three-pointer after three-pointer. Defenders were scrambling to contain her, but no defensive scheme seemed to work. By halftime, she had already hit 9 threes, and the buzz in the arena was palpable. As the fourth quarter began, Clark tied Curry's record with her 13th three-pointer, an off-balance shot from the corner that left the crowd on its feet. But she wasn't done. With just 2 minutes left in the game, Clark pulled up from 35 feet out, her signature range, and drilled her 14th three-pointer. The record was hers. The arena erupted in celebration. Teammates mobbed Clark at midcourt, and social media exploded. Within minutes, Caitlin Clark and Steph Curry were trending worldwide. But Clark's reaction was as humble as it was emotional. In the post-game interview, Clark said, "Steph has always been my idol. To break one of his records is surreal, but it's a testament to what's possible when you love the game and work hard every single day." Even Curry himself chimed in, tweeting, "Records are meant to be broken. Congrats to Caitlin Clark, she's changing the game." Steph Curry's impact on basketball is undeniable. He made the three-pointer the most valuable weapon in the NBA, changing how teams strategize and how players train. His influence extended beyond the court, inspiring a generation of young players to develop their shooting range. Caitlin Clark is following in his footsteps, but carving her own path. Her record-breaking performance solidified her as the face of a new era in women's basketball. Like Curry, she's proving that long-range shooting isn't just a skill, it's a spectacle that draws fans and reshapes the sport. Both Curry and Clark have a flair for the dramatic. Their ability to hit impossible shots in high-pressure moments makes them must-watch players. Clark's record-breaking night wasn't just about the numbers. It was about her confidence to take and make the toughest shots when the game was on the line. Caitlin Clark's historic performance didn't just break a record, it broke barriers. Her accomplishment garnered attention from fans, media, and sponsors, shining a spotlight on the WNBA like never before. The fact that Clark's achievement was measured against Curry's record also spoke volumes. It showed that women's basketball deserves to be held to the same standard as the men's game, a message that resonated far beyond the court. For young players, Clark's performance was a moment of inspiration. Seeing her break a record held by an NBA legend proved that greatness knows no gender. It's not just about how high you can jump or how fast you can run, it's about skill, heart, and determination. Breaking Steph Curry's record was more than a career milestone for Caitlin Clark. It was a defining moment that will be remembered for decades. But what makes this story even more compelling is what it means for the future. Clark's record isn't just about individual greatness, it's a challenge to the next generation of players to aim higher and dream bigger. She's shown that records are not limitations, they're invitations to push the boundaries of what's possible. Caitlin Clark's record-breaking night was more than a game, it was a turning point for basketball. She didn't just break one of Steph Curry's records, she proved that women's basketball is a force to be reckoned with. But the question now is, how far can Clark go? Will she continue to shatter records and redefine the sport, or is this just the beginning of an even greater legacy? One thing is certain, Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball, she's changing it, and as her journey continues, the world will be watching. Because when the lights are brightest, Caitlin Clark always delivers. Basketball rivalries have always defined the game. Think Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson, a rivalry that transcended the court and redefined the NBA. Now, Caitlin Clark is leading a new generation of basketball rivalries, bringing that same intensity, drama, and excitement to the WNBA. But how does her story compare to the legends of the past? And what lessons can we learn from one of the most iconic rivalries in sports history? Stick around, because Caitlin Clark isn't just playing the game, she's reshaping it. Before Caitlin Clark's rivalries took the basketball world by storm, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson set the gold standard. Their battles in the 1980s weren't just about basketball, they were about culture, identity, and competition at its highest level. Bird, the quiet sharpshooter from Indiana, represented the blue-collar work ethic of the Boston Celtics. Magic, the charismatic playmaker from Michigan, embodied the Hollywood glamour of the Los Angeles Lakers. Their contrasting styles made their rivalry unforgettable, but what truly elevated Bird and Magic was their mutual respect. Off the court, they shared a bond that helped them push the NBA to new heights. Fast forward to today, and Caitlin Clark is writing her own chapter in basketball history. Like Bird and Magic, Clark's rivalries go beyond the game. They're about passion, pride, and the future of women's basketball. Much like Bird and Magic, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese couldn't be more different. Clark, with her deep three-pointers and smooth court vision, brings a Steph Curry-esque finesse to the game. Reese, a dominant force in the paint, is the heart and soul of her team. Their clash in the 2023 NCAA Championship sparked a rivalry that now defines the WNBA. Reese's fiery trash talk and Clark's competitive coolness have drawn comparisons to Magic's showmanship and Bird's stoic intensity. The dynamic between the two isn't just about skill, it's about what they represent. Clark embodies the rise of long-range shooting and flashy playmaking in women's basketball, while Reese represents grit, toughness, and old-school dominance. Bird and Magic's rivalry thrived in the era of limited media. Fans couldn't binge-watch every game, so each matchup felt like an event. Clark and Reese's rivalry is thriving in the digital age. Every highlight, every stare down, and every post-game comment is dissected and shared on social media. Fans don't have to wait for the next game to see the drama unfold. It's happening in real time on their feeds. But the media's role goes deeper. Just as Bird and Magic's rivalry helped the NBA reach new audiences, Clark and Reese are doing the same for the WNBA. Networks like ESPN are doubling down on promoting their matchups, knowing that these rivalries are what keep fans coming back. If Bird and Magic taught us anything, it's that rivalries are about more than just winning and losing. Bird and Magic's rivalry worked because their styles were polar opposites. Clark and Reese have a similar dynamic. Clark's finesse and long-range bombs contrast beautifully with Reese's physical dominance and gritty play. One key to Bird and Magic's success was their respect for each other. Clark and Reese have shown glimpses of this, especially when Clark defended Reese's trash talk during the NCAA championship controversy. Rivalries thrive when competition elevates both players. Bird and Magic weren't just athletes, they were symbols of their teams, their cities, and even broader societal issues. Clark and Reese's rivalry has sparked conversations about gender, race, and double standards in sports. They're not just competing on the court, they're shaping cultural narratives. Bird and Magic didn't just save the NBA, they built it into a global brand. Similarly, Clark and Reese are giving the WNBA the star power it needs to grow. Ticket sales for their games are skyrocketing. TV ratings for matchups featuring Clark and Reese have reached record highs. Sponsors are lining up to be part of the action, recognizing the commercial potential of this rivalry. Bird and Magic inspired players like Michael Jordan, who took the NBA to even greater heights. Clark and Reese are already inspiring a new generation of young athletes who see themselves in these stars. For girls watching at home, Clark and Reese represent what's possible when you dream big and embrace competition. Larry Bird wasn't just a great player, he was a master of mental toughness. Bird thrived in high-pressure moments and knew how to get into his opponent's head. Caitlin Clark shares that same unshakable confidence. Her ability to hit deep threes under pressure and control the game with her passing mirrors Bird's approach. But to truly elevate her rivalries, Clark can take a page out of Bird's playbook. Lean into the rivalry, use it as motivation, and always respect her opponents. Magic Johnson's charisma was his greatest weapon. He knew how to captivate fans and win over the media. Reese, with her fiery personality, has the potential to do the same. Magic also understood the importance of lifting his teammates. Reese, as a leader on and off the court, can follow Magic's example by using her platform to elevate not just herself, but her team and the league as a whole. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson proved that rivalries aren't just about competition, they're about legacy. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are following in their footsteps, reshaping basketball rivalries for a new era. The question now isn't whether Clark and Reese will continue to dominate, it's how their rivalry will change the WNBA forever. Will they become the faces of a league on the rise? Or will the pressure of their rivalry push them to even greater heights? One thing is clear, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are more than rivals, they're history in the making. And if this is just the beginning, imagine what the future holds. What happens when two of the biggest names in basketball collide on the court? Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese's rivalry is unlike anything the WNBA has ever seen. It's raw, intense, and has sparked debates across the sports world. From jaw-dropping plays to moments of humiliation, their battles have captivated fans everywhere. But here's the twist. This rivalry isn't just entertaining, it's revolutionizing women's basketball. Stick around, because the way Clark and Reese are shaping the future of the sport will leave you speechless. Before they ever set foot on a WNBA court, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese were already linked by their dominance. Their rivalry dates back to their AAU days, where both players quickly established themselves as future stars. Clark, known for her deep shooting range and flashy passes, often faced off against Reese, a physical powerhouse who controlled the paint with ease. Their contrasting styles made for electric matchups, but it wasn't until college that the sparks truly started to fly. The 2023 NCAA National Championship was the moment that ignited their rivalry on a national stage. Clark, coming off a historic tournament run with Iowa, was the talk of the sports world. Meanwhile, Reese and LSU were determined to prove they were more than underdogs. The game itself was a battle of wills. Clark's offensive explosion kept Iowa in the fight, but LSU's depth and Reese's dominance inside ultimately secured the victory. However, it wasn't the final score that stole the headlines, it was the trash talk. Reese's now iconic "You Can't See Me" taunt directed at Clark went viral, sparking debates about sportsmanship, race, and double standards. While Reese faced heavy criticism, Clark publicly defended her, saying, "Trash talk is part of the game." But make no mistake, Clark didn't forget that moment. Fast forward to the WNBA draft, where Clark and Reese entered the league as the headliners of one of the most hyped rookie classes in history. Fans immediately circled their first professional matchup on the calendar, eager to see if the sparks from college would carry over to the WNBA. And they did, big time. In their first WNBA clash, Caitlin Clark delivered a performance for the ages. Late in the game, she nailed a three-pointer from near half court, leaving Reese frozen. Social media exploded with highlights, memes, and debates about whether Reese could keep up. But this wasn't just a battle of skill, it was a spectacle that pulled new fans into the league. For years, the WNBA struggled to compete for attention in a crowded sports landscape. But Clark and Reese are changing the game. Their rivalry has made women's basketball a trending topic, not just during the NCAA tournament, but throughout the WNBA season. Each time they face off, the stakes feel higher, the game's more intense. Fans tune in not just to see who wins, but to witness the drama, the emotion, and the passion they bring to the court. This isn't just about individual performances, it's about creating narratives that people care about. Rivalries like Clark versus Reese give the WNBA what every sport needs: storylines that go beyond the box score. Clark and Reese aren't just attracting longtime basketball fans, they're pulling in casual viewers and even people who've never watched women's basketball before. Social media plays a massive role in this. Viral moments, whether it's Clark's deep threes or Reese's trash talk, create buzz that extends far beyond traditional WNBA audiences. But it's not just social media. The media's coverage of their rivalry has also expanded, with major outlets dedicating time and space to women's basketball like never before. Interviews, feature stories, and debates on shows like ESPN's First Take have made Clark and Reese household names. What makes this rivalry even more significant is the way it has exposed societal biases. Clark and Reese have both faced criticism for behaviour that would be celebrated in their male counterparts. Yet, instead of shying away from the spotlight, they've embraced it, using their platforms to challenge these double standards. Clark has spoken out about the need for women's sports to allow for more expression and emotion, saying, "We're passionate because we care." Isn't that what sports are all about? Reese, meanwhile, has been unapologetic about her fiery personality, proving that women can be just as bold and competitive as men. Perhaps the most lasting impact of this rivalry is the example it sets for future generations. Young players watching Clark and Reese see what's possible, not just in terms of skill, but in how to carry themselves as stars. The rivalry shows that it's okay to be competitive, to have personality, and to embrace the pressure of being in the spotlight. It's creating a new blueprint for what it means to be a women's basketball star. Clark and Reese aren't just elevating their own profiles, they're lifting the entire league with them. Ticket sales for their games are breaking records, TV ratings are climbing, and sponsors are lining up to be part of the action. Their rivalry is proof that women's basketball has the star power and the storylines to compete with any sport. It's not just a game, it's a movement. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese aren't just rivals, they're revolutionaries. Their battles on the court have brought new energy to the WNBA, but their impact goes far beyond basketball. They've shown that rivalries can be about respect, that women's sports deserve the same attention and passion as men's, and that the next generation of stars is ready to take the game to heights we've never seen before. The best part? This rivalry is still in its early chapters. What's next for Clark and Reese will shape not just their legacies, but the future of the WNBA itself. And as the world watches their story unfold, one question remains: how far can they take the game they love? Let's just say this is one rivalry you won't want to miss.